What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Jayok here, and welcome to part 2 of our regular season finale for season 2. As I said in yesterday's video, we got a bunch of action to get into. We got Louisville and Virginia Beach, New Jersey and Minneapolis. We got Alaska, Arizona, Atlanta, Cleveland, New Orleans, Toronto, New York Eclipse, LA Palms. We got Montreal at the LA Knights, Pittsburgh at Dakota, Dallas at Nevada, Miami at Vancouver, Indiana, Idaho, Indianapolis, Portland, DC at Kansas City on this day, and then to finish it out, Cincinnati, St. Louis, Utah, Jacksonville, DC, Mississippi, New York Lions, OKC, and Las Vegas, Houston. So enough talking, we got a bunch of action to get into, so let's get into it. Well, we started out this episode with simulating this Louisville-Virginia Beach game because both teams are being relocated next season, and their final games of the season ends with Virginia Beach coming back and winning by 1 point against Louisville, 79-78. They scored 17 first half points, then turned around and scored 62 in the second half to come back and defeat Louisville, outscoring them by 32. They were down 31 at halftime. Book Knight, 14, leading the way for Virginia Beach. Cody Zeller has 14. Is that Monte Morris? Yep, he had 13. Keldon Johnson had 10. That's Keldon or Keldon? Yeah, Keldon Johnson had 10. Brooke Lopez had 10. Everybody that played scored for him, so good game there. Good comeback. B.I. finishes his season with a 21-point game. Zach Collins had 14. McCollum only had 9 points, didn't really shoot the ball like that, and didn't really play like that either. Tristan Thompson, 9 and 13, that was nice. They helped out, but that just wasn't enough. Zach Collins, I just saw that, 5 of 14, that's rough. But that's the first game. Now let's move on, New Jersey and Minneapolis. Minneapolis holds on to win 84-77 against New Jersey, and that loss for New Jersey. And yep, it had to happen. It was either going to be them or Montreal to get relocated. And New Jersey loses and will be relocated. Man, they needed to win and needed Montreal to lose in order to avoid it, but they lost. So no matter what Montreal does, New Jersey is going to be the team that gets relocated. Jalen Green, 20 points leading the way for the Blizzards. We had Wendell Carter with 12 and 23. Big game for him. Obi Toppin at 11 and 12 also. Our boy Zay Phil didn't shoot the ball well, but had 9 points. Kuminga had 9 points. Mike Conley had 9 points. Everybody that played scored for Minneapolis in this one. For New Jersey, Kevin Herter leading the way with 19 points. Oladipo shoots terrible. 6 of 21. He had 15 points. Chris Dunn had 14 points. Ilyasova 8 and 11. It's rough. New Jersey. They got in here this year. They were a new team via relocation for this season, and now they're out for season 3. So that's rough. But congrats, New Jersey, on a decent season. First season. We'll get to see more of them in the future as this series keeps growing. As for Minneapolis, they are now preparing for the playoffs. So that ends this one. Next up on our schedule is Alaska at Arizona. Alaska with a blowout victory on the road, 84-62 to finish both of these team seasons. Both teams are going to be an 8 seed. Alaska needed Minnesota to lose for a shot at the 7 seed, but that didn't happen, and Arizona is already an 8 seed. Had a shot at a 6 or 7 seed, depending on if Mississippi and Cleveland both lost. But they lost anyway, so both of these teams are going to be 8 seeds, so they're going to be off for a rough start. Arizona in the Eastern Conference, for some reason, of course, that's going to be fixed for season 3. Arizona being in the East, meaning now they have to go to play the New York Eclipse in the first round. So we got one matchup in the playoffs already, fixed out. For Alaska, on the other hand, they're an 8 seed out west, and we'll be taking on the 1 seed. So you're going to be St. Louis or the LA Knights. That comes down in this video. We got both of them scheduled in this one. Well, the LA Knights are first, so whatever happens with LA, we'll see what happens with St. Louis. But getting into his box score, Patty Mills 17 points leads the way for Arizona. Jabari Parker had 10 points, and then it kind of drops off from there. 2 of 14 from DiVincenzo, rough one for him. For the Explorers, Buddy Hield, 29 points. Jamal Murray had 18. Jordan Poole also helps out with 10 points. But yeah, that's just a good game right there. 37 combined points between the backcourt of Hield and Murray. That's going to help you win the game. So both of these teams will now prepare for the playoffs, as we now prepare for the next game, which is Atlanta at Cleveland. Atlanta blows out Cleveland to finish out the season with an 83-69 victory. Get a glimpse into the future for Atlanta for next year. They made the playoffs last year, going to miss out this year though. So, but they got a glimpse of the future with Clay and Damian in the backcourt. We get to see what that's going to be like for a full season next year. I hope you guys are excited about that one. I definitely am excited to see what happens with that. Jimmy Butler for Cleveland, he led the way with 18 points. Oturo had 12 to help out, and then Schroeder had 9, and then it kind of went down from there. Rudy Gobert fouled out, had 6 and 14 before he fouled out though. For Atlanta, like I said, Dame and Clay. Look at that, 29-24. If you look at that right there, that's a good old 53 points that they combined for, almost outscoring Cleveland themselves. So the future is bright for Atlanta with the backcourt like this, and then they have Bol stepping up, getting burned this year. So it's going to look fun. I'm excited about that. So that moves us to our next game, which is the New Orleans Bounce on the road in Toronto, taking on the Dragons. So let's get into it. New Orleans, the Bounce are able to take away home court from Toronto and pull out a 5-point victory, 73-68. Steph Curry leading the way for the Dragons with 12 points. Didn't really shoot the ball like that. James Wiseman, 12 and 15. Big game by him. Chris Middleton only had 11. He struggled from the floor, and then everybody else kind of struggled from the floor also. He had 3 of 8, 3 of 9, 2 of 9. Not good numbers you want to see right there for... Oh, Kemba. Oh, Kemba turned back the clock. 34 for Kemba. Paul George struggled but had 11. But when you got someone scoring 34, yeah, you're going to win a game. Golly, good job, Kemba, in the last game of the regular season for both of those teams. So, really good game by New Orleans to come back and win that one against the Dragons. So, that moves us to our next game, the New York Eclipse on the road in LA taking on the Palms. So, let's get into it. And what could be maybe a finals preview, maybe eventually. We'll see that down the road in a couple weeks when we get to the finals. But New York secured the top seed in the East, so they get to see that they have home court going throughout the Eastern Conference playoffs. And they get tested by LA, but pull out the 79-70 victory on the road against the Palms, who are fighting for a top 3 spot out west, which they would have clinched the 3 seed with a win. But now the ball's in the court of Idaho. Idaho has a shot to overtake the Palms for the 3 seed. Markel, Jesus, my bad. Markel, 15 points leading the way. Marcus Smart struggles from the floor, had 13. Andrew Wiggins struggled from the floor, 13 points. Denny had 11 points. That helps out. Jason Tatum didn't score like that, had 4 fouls. Draymond does Draymond things, and then after that, kind of fell off from there. Up, bro. Chill out. Chill. The playoffs are coming up. Calm down. You won the MVP last year. Probably gonna win it again this year, but we're 42, Giannis. Bro, it's not okay. It's not that serious, Giannis. It's not that serious. Okay. Well, let's move on to the next one. Montreal, the Snowhawks in LA also taking on the Knights. So the Knights with a win could put St. Louis in pressure for that 1 seed, but a loss will just give St. Louis the 1 seed. So let's see what happens. So the LA Knights lose by 15 points at home against a team that was fighting for relocation. I mean, New Jersey kind of lost already, so it didn't matter what Montreal did in this one. They were going to avoid being relocated anyways. But jeez, man, come on, LA. I mean, you're going to go to the playoffs still, but you had a shot for a 1 seed. God. Yeah, I hate to see it. The LA Knights are going to be the 2 seed out west. Oh, out west. DeRozan, 19 points. Porzingis had 14. Sabonis, 10 and 10. Had a hiccup. Aaron Holiday with 8. DeJounte Murray, 3 of 10. That's a struggle. KD and RJ. It's the KD RJ show right here. And then De'Aaron had 13. Pascal 10. Yeah. 3 players with double figures. Nobody touched 20. 4 players with double figures. Almost 5. And 2 players touching 20. Yeah. So Montreal, they were the 3 seed last year. Got sent home early in the playoffs. And then this year they're not going to make the playoffs. So avoid being relocated though. But I feel like the future is bright for this team with this 3 combination of KD, RJ, and De'Aaron, just if they can keep them all together, of course. But the future is bright for them. So LA, your focus now is the playoffs. Whoever the 7 seed is going to be. Montreal, prepare for next year. So next up, we have the Pittsburgh Union on the road in Dakota taking on the Monuments. Dakota pulls away in the 4th quarter and defeats the Pittsburgh Union 80-67. Pittsburgh was looking to clinch the 5 seed with a win, but lost. So now The ball is now in Mississippi's court to put pressure on Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh would have lost, and wins by both Mississippi and Cleveland would put Pittsburgh anywhere between the 5 and 7 seed. So we'll see what Mississippi does. As we already saw Cleveland's result, they lost, so maybe Mississippi could change the result or something. But Pittsburgh loses by 13. Tyler Hero, 31 points, leading the way for the Dakota Monuments in this one. John Morant, 14 points to lead to help out. He had 11 assists. Where's our boy Jaden? Doesn't really score like that. Had 4 points though. The future's gonna be bright for this team going forward. But Dakota is being relocated again. They went from Milwaukee to Dakota this year, so they're going from Dakota to be determined. You'll see that at the end of the playoffs when we get into starting to talk about the off season, of course. Pittsburgh was led by Gilgeous-Alexander's 19 points. Jaren Jackson had 12. Our boy JD with 11 points and 3 blocks. I mean, next up for Pittsburgh is the playoffs. Can't wait to see what they can do this year in the playoffs. Last year they were the 8 seed, right? Yeah, they were the 8 seed. They played New York. Jesus, kind of English. Played New York in the playoffs. Didn't really work out well, of course. But we'll see what happens this year. Now we got back-to-back games being simulated. We have Dallas at Nevada first up, so we'll go ahead and get into that box score. Dallas is able to defeat Nevada on the road 103-100, a very high-scoring game, with D. Rose leading the way for the Nevada Silver Rush with 25 points. Our boy Josh Little had 21, Colin Sexton 17, Josh Richardson had 17 also, and then, yeah, kind of just single digits from there. Fred VanVleet leading the way for Dallas with 27. Our boy D-Lo had 19. Kai Jones had 13. Rokas, 12 points off the bench in 7 minutes. So, I think Dallas is going to be in for a fun future. I mean, they're rebuilding, of course, especially with the trade of giving up Damian Lillard at the deadline. So, that was a big trade that had to happen for Dallas, because they're going to make the next step in relocation coming next year for them. Right? They are being relocated, right? I had a brain fart. I forgot if they were being relocated or not. I am 100% sure they are. Yeah, they are. Woo! Had to check my notes real quick. But yeah, that new step in, it's going to be a new direction that they're going into with, you know, a new young team, and then they're going to a new city. So, we'll see what the future is for them. But both these teams have bright futures ahead. Nevada's first year in the league doesn't end too bad. I mean, they went 33 and 37. So, it's not too bad. Won't be relocated, but the future's bright for them. So, next game that we simulate right here is Miami at Vancouver. In a game that's featuring 2 teams that are being relocated for next season. Vancouver blows out Miami by 20 to finish out the season. Jaylen Brown leading the way with 24 points. Who's this? Tyler Bay, he had 17. Is that Tyus or Trey? Trey Jones had 14. LaMarcus Aldridge with 11. Hachimura had 10. Reggie Bullock off the bench with 8. So, good win by Vancouver. Westbrook leading the way with 24 for Miami. Terrence Clark, RIP, he had 21 to help out the cause. He had a really good season this year. Can't wait to see what the future holds for him. Drew Holiday, 12 points to help out. So yeah, I mean, the future is going to be bright for this team. We'll see what happens though with Miami as they're being relocated. Same thing with Vancouver being relocated. The future is bright for both of these teams. So that brings us to our next game. The Indiana Roosters on the road in Idaho taking on the Irish. So let's get into it. Both of these teams are going to the playoffs, and Idaho blows out the Roosters 83-64. Cade Cunningham leading the way for the Irish with 22 points. Didn't really shoot the ball well. Same thing for Zaire Williams, 7-17. Not really that bad. Not that bad, but not too good. He had 20 points. Anthony Simmons off the bench with 11 points. AD only had 10 points. Karl Anthony Towns 9 and 14. Lonzo had 7. So not a bad game by the young Idaho Irish core. Jokic leading the way 20 and 15 for Indiana. Grayson Allen 12 points off the bench to lead and to help out the cause. Dragic had 8 points. Markkanen 7 and 7. I mean, both teams are going to the playoffs. Both teams are looking forward to the playoffs. We're looking forward to seeing both these teams in the playoffs. Indiana missed out on the playoffs last year, get in now for season 2. But for Idaho, their first year in the league, they are going to be a top 3 seed in the league. So we're excited to see what the Irish do in the playoffs. Top 3 or 4 seed, depending on how the tiebreaker works with the Palms. So that brings us up to the next game for June 3rd. We're wrapping up 2 more games here on June 3rd. Next up, Indianapolis at Portland. Indianapolis come on the road and get the victory over the Portland Pioneers 82-70 to finish the season. Portland will be relocated next season after making the playoffs last year. For Indianapolis, their first year in the league, meaning to be in the East, but accidentally being placed out West, but they'll still make the playoffs. So congrats to the Irish. I said Irish. Wow. The Flames. Wow. Really messed that one up. Chris Paul, 18 points. Struggled from the floor for Portland. Jalen LeCue, 16 points to help out. Isaiah Roby. Yeah, he had 11. And besides that, meh. For the Flames, John Wall. 25 for him. Trae Young, 16 off the bench. Probably gonna easily win the 6 Man of the Year award. We'll see what happens with that. Bogdanovich, 10 points. Michael Porter Jr., 8 and 6. I mean, this team is young and looking forward to the future with this team, especially with a young core of Trae Young, Michael Porter, and Anthony Edwards. It's going to be fun to watch in the future. But yeah, so that'll bring us to the last game here on June 3rd, which is just a simulated game between the DC Senators and the Kansas City Stealth. So finishing up this action June 3rd, DC gets blown out on the road in Kansas City, 84-68. Luka leading the way for Kansas City with 24. He'll miss out on the playoffs for the 2nd straight year. Hopefully 3rd time's the charm for Luka, as Kansas City is not being relocated. Malcolm Brogdon helped out with 21. Dylan Windler had 16. And then off the bench, Lowry didn't really shoot the ball well. Okoro did his thing. Kansas City's going to be fun to watch in the future. James Harden will miss out on the playoffs this season after being the 2 seed last year. He had 21 to lead the way for DC. Dwight Powell had 11 points, and then it just drops off from there. Kind of a struggle. So now that brings us to June 4th. We got some good action in store. Not many games. Only a handful of games left to finish up the regular season of season 2. So let's get into it. St. Louis didn't need to even play this game. They already had the 1 seed wrapped up, but they decided they were wanting to go out and dominate and finish off the regular season with a 52-18 record, I believe, is what they finished with. I think so, yeah. 82-67 victory over Cincinnati. Zion, 17 points leading the way. Cole Anthony had 17. He struggled from the floor, though. LaMelo had 13, although Porter 10. This is a really good game by St. Louis. D'Lo led the way with 26 points for the Gladiators. Zach LaVine only had 11 points. Bam only had 8 points. So that brings us to the next game in this episode, which is Utah and Jacksonville. It's a simulated game, so let's get into that box score. Jacksonville being relocated next season, but finishes off this season with a blowout win over Utah, 103-82. John Collins leading the way with 29 for the Titans. RJ Hampton had 12. TLC had 11. Dedmon had 11. Herbert Jones had 10 points. Desmond Bain had 10 points. Look at that. 6 players in double figures for Jacksonville. That's the reason why they won that game. I mean, Utah had 6 players also. but more scoring. PJ Washington leading the way for Utah with 13 points. Robert Williams 12, Jalen Suggs 11, Jordan Clarkson with 11, Donovan Mitchell with 10, Andre Drummond with 10. Just more scoring off the bench for Jacksonville than Utah in this one. So brings us to our next game, the DC Senators on the road at Mississippi taking on the Mastodons. The DC Senators are able to hold on to this low-scoring affair, 64-57 on the road in Mississippi to finish their season. Kawhi, 18 points leading the way, and then, shooting numbers are very bad. James Harden, 17 points leading the way for DC. He had help with Bledsoe having 14 to help out. Just, very defensive game in this one, and it showed. But Mississippi, their step now is to get ready and prepare for the playoffs. As for the Senators, they're finishing with a losing record after being the 2 seed and getting to the conference finals last year. So James Harden and company have some work to do this offseason to get back where they were last season. So next up, we have the Lions of New York and the Barons of OKC in a simulated game. So let's see what happens there. The New York Lions go on the road and beat the OKC Barons 85-73 to finish up the season. Nurkic led the way with 19 for the Barons. Dinwiddie 17 and 11. Rudy Gay had 11 points. So OKC made the playoffs last year. This year 35-35, not good enough to make the playoffs this year, but we'll see what happens in the future with the Barons. As for the Lions, missing out the playoffs for a second straight year, and Cameron Thomas, 24 points off the bench to lead the way for him. Montrezl Harrell had 16, Kelly Oubre had 14. I mean, this team's going to take a step in the right direction next year, hopefully. We want to see both New York teams make the playoffs just like we had both LA teams make it this year. So that's definitely the goal, to see both New York and LA teams in the playoffs almost every year. So here we go. It's almost playoff time. Let's see what happens. Season 2's regular season has finally came to an end, with Las Vegas defeating Houston 95-88 to finish out the season. Embiid leading the way, 33 and 19 for the Orbits. Our boy Clyde Blackheart had 15. Jeremy Grant had 13. Bobby Portis had 11, and then after that, I mean, everybody that played for Houston scored, so big game for them. But they're going to be relocated for Season 3. I get a text from Fantasy Football Group Text. Zion leading the way. Ademola. I'm not sure his name. So he had 21 to lead the way for the Dealers. Luke Kennard had 17. Kyrie only had 13 and 11. Whiteside with 12. George Hill had 10. And then, everybody that played for them scored. So that's putting a wrap to the regular season of Season 2. Who's ready to see these playoff teams? So before we get to the playoff teams, Season 2's MVP, as voted on by the fans, is